Okay, I'm John Kraft.
Kirk Allen.
We are the Edgar County Watchdogs. This video is going to be about the Iroquois County ETSB or 911 board meeting that we went to last Friday night, yesterday. So you can begin.
Well, this whole issue started over the 911 coordinator who had a contract, and we identified that the contract was never placed on the agenda, and in fact, it turns out the agenda, and we said that it was invalid in our previous reporting, was listed under committee reports, and then buried down in section F of that agenda, under personnel, it just said contracts. Now, I did say personnel and gave a guy's name that had nothing to do with this particular contract, but it would lead one to believe that if there was a contract, it wasn't for this Knight of Dougal that was even, the one that had the contract.
Correct.
So the agenda was invalid. Anytime an agenda doesn't have sufficient information and you enter a contract, whether you sign the contract or not, the contract's invalid. And state's attorney sided with us on that. He made it pretty clear last night, didn't he?
And he even said something that we didn't previously talk about, that it's not whether the board knew they were voting on a contract or whether they even voted on it. It's whether the public had sufficient information to know that a contract for that person or that position was going to be bid on or voted on that night.
Yeah, he did a good job qualifying the requirements. It's public focused, not notice to the board members. And in that regard, as far as notice to the board members, I would love to know who wrote and posted that first agenda where it was committee reports where that contract was approved under. And then see who wrote and posted last night's agenda, because last night's agenda had no action on it. So even if the board wanted to do something, which technically they couldn't on the contract, but let's assume they wanted to do something, there was no action item on the agenda. So I'll bet you'll find that it's the same person that posted the one 3 years ago that gave him the contract as the one that wrote the agenda for last night.
Correct. And there's other things, even if the contract would have been a legal and binding contract, we don't believe they have the authority under statute to contract with an employee. And the contract had an auto-renewing or evergreen clause that is not permitted within state law for local governments. And additionally, one item that really stood out to me, since we're currently in discussion with Whiteside County on an issue similar to this, it shows that she can hire, after she notifies the board, that she can hire a legal counsel to represent her at the board's expense. That violates state law. The state's attorney is the statutory representative. Anybody else, the state's attorney can write a letter to the judge saying, hey, I can't handle this, or I'm conflicted, or some other reason. The judge has to sign off on it, appointing by name a different attorney.
Well, not according to that contract.
Correct. Well, that's invalid.
Wasn't that interesting? The state's attorney didn't write that contract?
That's right. So we covered the contract, the agenda. So it wasn't on the agenda, no authority to contract, the auto-renew clause. State's attorney didn't draft the employment contract. And then during public comment, Kirk went through the contract. And then a new county board member talked, and then a former police officer from what town?
I think he's from Gilman.
Gilman talked, both in favor of the coordinator.
Wasn't it interesting they never talked about the legality of the process that was in
Right.
question?
It's all about how good of a job she was doing. She might be doing a good job, we don't know. We could take that word for it and probably agree that maybe she is doing a good job. But the point we were discussing was the legality of the contract itself. And then Mr. Larry Harsbarger, county board member.
Good old Larry.
Talked to, what did he say to the other board member?
It appears you were requesting legal advice from that gentleman, and he pointed to me, and he advised him that the state's attorney is their legal counsel.
And then I piped up and told him we don't give legal advice.
He didn't like that.
No, and then he acted like he was giving me permission to talk, and then I told him I didn't have to seek permission from him, and then he threatened to physically, or said he was the guy that could physically assault me. But we'll let you.
We'll let you hear
watch
his
and hear
own
what he
words.
said.
I wasn't talking to you.
We don't give legal advice.
I wasn't talking to you.
care if you talk to me or not.
Well, you better, Jerry, you fat old man.
Let's conduct
We don't-
this in an
guys,
orderly manner,
come on.
please.
Can I have my public comment time too, please?
Yes, you can. He has the floor at the time.
Yeah, don't interrupt me when I'm talking. Who do you think you are? Okay, go ahead, say your piece.
Counselor, go ahead.
You don't have to give me permission to say anything.
Well, I did, didn't I?
Who do you think you
Gentlemen,
are?
I think I'm the guy that can kick your fat ass. That's who I think I am.
Gentlemen,
Is that a
Gentlemen, hey,
at this time, please calm down.
hey, come on.
We'll be using this video quite often, by the way. This
Oh, yeah.
This little clip.
This one is priceless. I mean,
But other than that, nothing else happened. They adjourned immediately after the state's attorney explained his legal opinion. No action was taken because none was needed.
and a point of interest after the adjournment, Larry was out in the hallway just rambling about the things at the health department.
Yeah.
And he got heavily involved in that before and fought us real hard on that. I wonder if Larry or the rest of the board members, or how many of the board members are aware of the federal subpoenas that have been issued. Some of them, fairly recent, as we understand it. And I wonder if he's even aware of those federal subpoenas, because he's insisting that there was nothing wrong and nothing found, but the feds don't issue subpoenas when there's nothing there.
No prosecutions, no indictments.
Yep.
Same thing Diane McGuire saying up in College of DuPage.
Yep.
Justice takes time, lots of time.
You bet. I challenge the rest of those board members up there to take a hard look at the subpoenas to see whether there's actually something going on or not.
Well, that's it.